So, is Lost Soul Aside worth playing? This is a game that's been teasing us for nearly a decade, starting as one man's ambitious dream back in 2014, before eventually growing into a PlayStation China hero project. After all that development time and all those trailers, we finally have the finished product in our hands. But here's the thing about games with this much hype and this much time behind them. They either surprise everyone like Black Myth Wukong did, or they become cautionary tales about scope creep and unrealistic expectations. The first thing that hits you when you boot up Lost Soul Aside is just how much it wants to be Final Fantasy. Not inspired by Final Fantasy. I mean, it literally wants to be Final Fantasy. The main character Kaiser looks like he could be Noctis's long-lost brother, complete with the asymmetrical clothing and impossible hair. The monster designs scream Final Fantasy bestiary, and even the music feels like it was pulled straight from the FF7 remake soundtrack, which honestly is one of the best parts of the entire experience. But here's where things get interesting. The combat is actually pretty damn fun once you get the hang of it. This isn't trying to be a Souls game or some punishing challenge. It's going for that spectacle fighter vibe. Like if you crossed Final Fantasy XVI with a Platinum game, you've got 4 distinct weapon types that all feel genuinely different to use. The sword lets you teleport around like Noctis, the greatsword can interact with environmental objects, and each weapon has its own skill tree and combo potential. The stagger system works well, encouraging you to exploit elemental weaknesses, and when everything clicks you can string together some absolutely ridiculous combos that look fantastic. The dodge and parry systems are generous with their timing windows, which some might call too easy, but honestly feels refreshing in a landscape where every action game tries to punish you. When you nail a perfect dodge or parry, the counterattacks are satisfying and each weapon has its own unique follow-up. There's depth here if you want to engage with it, and the ability recharge system based on damage dealt rather than time is actually a smart improvement over games like FF16. But here's where Lost Soul Aside starts stumbling over its own ambitions. This game has absolutely zero chill. It's like the developers were so excited about their boss encounters that they decided to throw one at you every 5 minutes. And I'm not exaggerating, you'll be fighting boss-level enemies constantly, back to back, with massive health bars that drag encounters out way longer than they should. These aren't even meaningful story beats half the time, just damage sponges that test your patience more than your skill. The pacing is completely out of whack. You'll have hour-long levels that are just fighting the same few enemy types over and over, punctuated by bosses that have multiple health bars and invulnerability phases. There's one section where you fight the same boss 3 times in a row, and by the 3rd encounter you're just going through the motions. The game desperately needed someone to step in and say, maybe we don't need quite this many boss fights. And then there's the story, which is where things get genuinely bizarre. The basic setup is fine. You're part of a resistance fighting an evil empire, mysterious monsters invade, you team up with a dragon named Arena who gives you powers, and you need to collect magical crystals to save your sister's soul. Standard JRPG fare. But the execution is baffling. The dialogue ranges from awkward to completely nonsensical, with characters saying things like, "Hope you dug your graves, ready to be filled," or responding to direct questions with completely unrelated statements. The voice acting doesn't help matters. It's not just bad, it's memorably bad, in that so terrible it becomes entertaining way. Arena, your dragon companion, has the Mimir problem where he won't stop talking during combat, cycling through the same 4 lines constantly. And the story presentation itself feels like it's from 2006 characters stand perfectly still while text boxes pop up, with zero dynamic camera work or engaging cinematography. Technically, the game is rough around the edges in ways that betray its indie origins. Some environments look absolutely stunning while others look dated and lifeless. The central hub area that you visit constantly is inexplicably one of the ugliest parts of the game. Simple interactions like harvesting plants feel broken. You swing your sword and the plant just disappears with no animation. Characters teleport around awkwardly, save points have unnecessary zoom-ins and menu transitions, and the jumping feels stiff and unresponsive during platforming sections. The PC version in particular seems to have significant issues with crashes, stuttering, and game-breaking bugs, where skill trees don't unlock or saves get corrupted. Even the PS5 version has frame drops and performance hiccups that shouldn't exist on that hardware. But here's the weird thing about Lost Soul Aside. Despite all these problems, there's something undeniably charming about it. This feels like a lost Xbox 360 gem that got a modern coat of paint. The passion is obvious even when the execution falters. When the combat clicks and you're chaining together stylish combos while epic boss music plays, there are genuine moments of hell yeah that remind you why we love this genre. The enemy variety is actually pretty solid when the game isn't making you fight the same boss multiple times. The weapon customization system, while visually awkward, gives you meaningful choices about how to build your arsenal. And despite the terrible story presentation, there are glimpses of interesting world building buried under all the nonsense dialogue. Different players are having wildly different experiences with this game, and honestly, both sides are right. If you're someone who can overlook jank in favor of spectacle, who doesn't mind repetitive encounters as long as the core combat feels good, and who can laugh at bad voice acting instead of being annoyed by it, you might genuinely have a blast with Lost Soulicide. It scratches that specific itch for over-the-top action games that we don't get enough of anymore. But if you need polish, coherent storytelling, and respect for your time, this is going to frustrate you constantly. The technical issues alone are enough to turn off players who just want a smooth experience without crashes and bugs. The truth is, Lost Soulicide needed about 6 more months of development time and a heavy editing pass. Cut the boss health bars in half, trim the fat from those overly long levels, fix the technical issues, and maybe hire someone to punch up that dialogue, and you'd have something special. As it stands, it's impressive for what it is. A passion project that grew beyond its original scope, but it's not quite ready for prime time at full price. If you're the kind of player who loved the spectacle of Final Fantasy XV despite its flaws, who can appreciate ambition over execution, and who doesn't mind some rough edges on your action games, Lost Soulicide might surprise you. Just maybe wait for a sale and some patches first. There's definitely potential here, and I hope the team gets a chance to refine their formula because the bones of something really cool are hiding under all that jank. What do you think? Have you been following this game's development, or is this the first you're hearing about it? Let me know in the comments if you're planning to check it out. And don't forget to subscribe for more honest takes on the games that are actually worth your time and money.